Hello, everybody. We are back again for the third time today. And I realised on the last stream, we didn't really get into Peterborough, the FA Cup, what it means to Leeds fans, and a couple of other comments that Daniel Farke made in his press conference. So this is going to be your evening stream. Obviously, we are trying to pump out 2 a day. Tomorrow, it's probably going to be quite unlikely that we get anything out. Obviously, it is a weekend pre the Peterborough game as well. So I might have a day off, my first day off of the week from the channel. So catch me on Sunday for the watch along and all the good bits that I'm sure you guys are used to as well. So we're trying to work overtime with getting graphics sorted and stuff like that. YouTube memberships are open now as of yesterday. We've got 2 in the building right now as of Sujal and Carol. Shout out to you guys. Really appreciate you sticking around and everybody else who's here for the preview. So yeah, I just wanted to get into a few more comments from Daniel Farke's press conference because we didn't touch on that a lot earlier on. There's a lot on Jed Spence, obviously, you know, in terms of questions from the press from the press. But Perkins was an interesting part of Farke's press conference. Daniel Farke did say, I'm quoting here, he's not part of the plans. I spoke about the culture, and he was with us in pre-season. He got a chance to impress in pre-season. And we decided it was a bit too soon for him to be involved. He didn't shine during this period, and there was an opportunity to loan him out. He is with our 21s, and he has to train on the things that he's got to improve. It's quite damning for this one, and interesting from Farke to be sort of like quite nonchalant but aggressive at the same time. Sort of nonchalant in terms of, well, he didn't impress, but aggressive in terms of, yeah, and he's got to impress. And I like that. I do enjoy that. I do enjoy the fact that, you know, Daniel is quite aggressive when it comes to it. We've obviously seen it with Jed Spence as well, but I do think it's important that he has that side to him. Of course I do. I just think it's got to be like mediated in a certain way. But yeah, I think he's bang on the money. He's bang on the money when it comes to Sonny Perkins. If he's at this level of his career now, where he's still not impressing, he's not even getting into the match day squad consistently at Oxford United. You know, we saw Lewis Bate go down there, and he was a fan favourite. For Sonny Perkins not to be even within the squad, that is crazy. Sam H says, Darlow out for 7 weeks. We didn't know a finger dislocation meant that you were out for that long. Yeah, 100%. And that's another thing that we got from the press conference from Leeds going from a period, really, of having a lot of sort of fit players. It's now got to a stage where Leeds are sort of a bit, you know, it's difficult, isn't it? Strauch's obviously unavailable. Melee right now is out with suspension. We know Shackleton, Byram are out as well. Spencer's obviously now gone back. Ayling is not part of the squad. You would think as well, if he's not part of the squad, maybe he's not up to fitness levels as well. We know he's just not good enough in general anyway, but does that mean that he's going to come back into the fold? It's an interesting scenario right now because, you know, is Charlie Cresswell going to turn around and say, well, look, I'm in the squad for this one, so I'm buzzing? Or is he going to look at it and think, bloody hell, is this it? Is this all the first team exposure I'm getting? But he has to start somewhere. And for me, I think Cresswell's going to be introduced for this one. I think Leeds need... Michael, I am completely calm, mate. I'm absolutely calm. That's just Michael's comment there, saying 49ers do things on the quiet. I'm fine, mate. I'm absolutely fine. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see if Cresswell gets involved. I presume that he will. And I think the bigger question is, what are we going to do at right back? So Clarkson's going to come in. We know that. Darlow's out for 7 weeks, so it's probably going to be Clarkson. Luke Ayling, in my opinion, I would probably draft him in for this one. I don't want to see Gray playing again. I mean, that comes back to the Spence comments. I don't want to see Luke Ayling anywhere near this squad, to be honest with you. But as in the first 11, I should say. But Archie Gray, I don't want to see him playing again. I just feel for the lad. I think he needs a little bit of a rest. And hopefully we're going to see that, to be honest with you. So then I believe you're probably going to see a centre-back partnership of Cresswell and Joe Rodon would be my guess. And then left back, you're probably going to see Firpo. Central midfield, I would guess it's probably going to be Kamara and Ampadu again, because we don't really have anyone to challenge that. Gruev potentially would probably come in for maybe an Ampadu, and Kamara stays in. And then the front four, you sort of pick yourself, don't you? I'd put Bamford in there, or Matteo Joseph actually I'd stick in there as the front man. And yeah, I think you've got to drip feed Jaden Anthony in there. I think you've got to put in, maybe Jan Poveda, and then probably, Somerville or Nonso. So, yeah, we're speaking about Nonso surrounded, Nonso's interest, which is building apparently from the Everton side of things. Leeds are looking to make to reach an agreement apparently with Everton when it comes to Willian Nonso. Believe that. You might not believe that as well. That is what we were talking about in the room mill this morning in a little bit more depth. So make sure you go check that out. Let me get into a few comments. Sujal, obviously a member of the channel. You can get involved on the memberships when it comes to the channels as well. It would be good to see Spence on the biz on the right, but fair's fair. There are always two sides to every story. Farke must have had his reasons, I guess. Yeah, you're right, mate. Damar, how long have you been live? Connor didn't get a notification. It was pretty impromptu, mate. But yeah, not long. About 4 or 5 minutes. So you're here in time, mate. Jamie Dixon says we are a road on injury away from a threadbare defence. Can't disagree with you there, mate. So yeah, that's it really, Sam. I would suggest it is probably going to be Luke Ayling and Junior Firpo. Or as someone said earlier on, failing as a combination. Would still love to see someone like Nico Williams coming in, higher quality, and can do it in the Prem too. Yeah, that's what they've got to think about, mate. Mr. Berman, it is going to be long-term. Can Leeds think about this season as well? But the long-term potential, you bang on the money, mate. It has to be someone who can feature in the Premier League and do all right in the Premier League. So I get what Daniel Farke's talking about in terms of you've got to bring someone in with the right attitude. You've got to bring someone in with substance who's going to fit in the group. I get that. I thought Spence did fit in the group. I mean, you don't see what go on behind the scenes, but I thought he was celebrating every goal when every goal went in, whether or not you saw him on the bench or celebrating with the team. Listen, two sides to every story, as we know. So listen, there's clearly been a breakdown there, a bust up, a breakdown, however you want to discuss it, but something's evidently happened there. So disappointing, but it is what it is. What can we do? It's happened now. It's very Leeds that it's happened, but I'm really hoping that they're just behind the scenes working on this, and I'm hoping it's not just what Daniel Farke was saying in his press conference when he was iterating the notion of it being an emergency, us only bringing people in on an emergency. I don't think we should take what Farke said out of context, and you've got to be accurate with what you're saying about him. You have, of course, I understand that. And he's got to be careful about what he says because fans will create their own narratives from that. I understand that, but I'm taking the basic phrases and words that he was saying in today's press conference and making my own subjective opinion on that, and I can see you guys are doing the exact same thing as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's not, of course. We're going to this Peterborough game. It really is a must win. Do I think the FA Cup matters this season? No. For me, it's all about promotion. So that's why I would like to see a rotated side, to be quite honest with you. And as Farke correctly said, we're not going to win the competition today, but we might. But yeah. Lewis says, 3 sides to every story. Side A, B, and the truth. Yeah, 100%. Spence definitely had attitude problems. He's renowned for it, apparently. Warnock said it when he was at Borough. Right. Okay, fair enough, Sam. But that's not fact. It's just you making that your opinion, mate. It's when people say clearly and evidently, when there's no foundation behind it, it's your opinion, mate. That's not fact. Are the 49ers the type to weaken themselves with no plan? I'm sure there is movement behind the scenes, hopefully. Yeah, I think you're right, mate. Shout out to you for your comment. Hopefully, bang on the move. They need to, if it's aggressive, if they're talking about wanting to get back to the Premier League and doing all this infrastructure and sort of like framework development at Leeds when it comes to, bringing us into the 21st century when it comes to stadium development and, broadcasting us to, to many other nations and those nations getting involved in Leeds United, basically making us a globalized product, a globalized brand, then, yeah. Leeds need to get back to the Premier League, and I think we all know that, and that's what the 49ers will say. Toto Long says, apparently we're close to signing Brooks, according to Wacko ITK. Yeah, I think, someone said to me yesterday, it's an absolute necessity that we, what would be your priority be, Connor? And I've said like multiple times now, it was a left back. Priority as mine was in the summer, really, along with the striker. But now it's a left back and a right back. So as long as we're talking about David Brooks, I'd like David Brooks. Listen, I've got a hit list. You guys know I've got a hit list. It would be, if you want them, it'd be Josh Doig. I think that would be a terrific signing at left back from Hellas Verona. Right back, it would be Nico Williams now with the disappearance of Jed Spence. He's not been kidnapped, but Nico Williams, I think defensively he's quite underrated. Getting forward, he's mesmeric. He's very, very good, especially at championship level at doing that. I also think he's a very much like for like profile of Jed Spence. He's probably the biggest similar profile you're going to get to him. Connor Roberts is a little bit more defensively astute, probably more of the Charlie Taylors. And then central attacking midfielder. I don't even think we'll do anything there. Central attacking midfielder, yeah, maybe we'll do something. But yeah, as I said, the Yasser Esprit, but that's not going to get done. I don't think that's going to be a tough one for Leeds United to get done. But a striker, I don't mind Kiefer Moore. Kiefer Moore, I think that's a really good addition. I think that'd be a really, really good. And you guys would be surprised at me for saying that because I'm all about, we don't need donkeys. We don't need this, that, and the other. And I'm very forthright about these players joining us in the Premier League. I think Kiefer Moore joined us in the Premier League. I think wherever he's been, he's done it. And he's scored goals. He's got assists. And he's a different way of playing. And systematically, we need a different way of playing. And let's not be arrogant as a fan base and say, I've heard over the last couple of days, we don't need Jed Spence. We don't need Nico Williams. Connor Roberts is SHIT. Kiefer Moore's not good enough. I don't know some fans who we think we are as a club and where we are as a team in the English pyramid, but we are in the Championship. If we got back to the Premier League, we'll be at the lower ebb. But when it comes to the Premier League, a Kiefer Moore on a short-term contract would be an excellent signing for me. A really, really good signing. And if he was to go to Ipswich, who have just signed Lewis Travis today from Blackburn, as well as Jeremy Sarmiento, I'd be disappointed in that because I think it's another option for Ipswich. It's a different way of playing. So for me, there are options out there. As I said, Yasser Esprit won't happen. He's Premier League bound. But David Brooks, I don't mind Brooks at all. If he can stay clear of injury, I think that'd be a good addition. And, we might be coming on here and talking about something completely different. When Daniel Farke was talking about an emergency, is he talking about an emergency when it comes to fullbacks? I got that. I think when you've got to take into context what he said. He was referring to the fullbacks a lot. So when we're talking about generalized conversation, I feel it wasn't that when he was talking about emergency. When he was talking about emergency, I mentioned this after the live press conference reaction earlier on. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do so when we really go into detail on Spence. But I feel like when he's talking about emergency, he's talking about the fullback region. Now, the left back, when we're talking about this, is a problem because we should be proactively looking at a left back, and a left back should be at the club as of January the 1st. It's not. It's very Leeds to do that. We never do stuff like that anyway, and we all know that. But when it comes to a right back, these are comments from Daniel Farke when he's using that word emergency, which makes me think that Leeds are going to have to see injuries in those positions to enact an emergency signing. So when we're going forward, it might be on the back burner that Leeds are working on a Kiefer Moore. Leeds are working on a David Brooks, because when he was using the word, when he was coining the phrase emergency signing, I think he was referring to the fullbacks there. So let's have a look. Sujal, member of the channel, obviously. Any credible rumours about Nico Williams? No, Sujal, this is just a suggestion I made. He's not getting... Nico Williams has been frozen out for the last 3 games, I believe it is, when Nuno's come in. They've won 2 and they've lost 1, and they were unlucky to lose the first one as well. Nuno is a very defensive manager when it comes to back 4 shape, and he's very consistent with his back 4 as well. Montiel is a World Cup winner, and he got the World Cup winning penalty, and he's a quality option. Less attacking than Nico Williams, and as a right back option, in my opinion, Montiel would be a much more solid option when it comes to what Nuno will try and create at Forest, which will be a back 4 that is difficult to break down if they want to stay in the Premier League. So I do feel that Nico Williams is going to be offered as rotation within this Nuno setup. So I think there will be an option there for Leeds to go and get that player. This is the thing, everybody. What we need to be looking at now is players Premier League level who aren't getting minutes, because these players need to transition into a long-term plan. That is the long-term plan with Leeds United. It can't just be us going and getting a championship player who is bang average and thinking, I will put him on the bench in the Premier League. It's a waste. We need to be looking long-term. And I do fully believe Leeds have been doing that. Not Rutter, I should say, but Ampadu, and the players that we've brought in, I do believe that we're looking at that future sort of development when it comes to Leeds United. Kamara's another one, and they've got to do that, and that's why I do mention Kiefer Moore, Brooks, Connor Roberts, Nico Williams. They are Premier League players, in my opinion. I don't want to become a global franchise, though, Sam. You're gonna have to get used to that, mate. Tottenham have immediately put Spence up for sale, according to the Daily Mail. Very interesting. Yeah, we know he's surplus to requirements at Nottingham Forest, but I'm not judging him as a player at Spurs. But I'm not judging him as a player because he's not getting in at Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham are a top 4 club. Let's be honest, aren't they? Top 4, top 5 club. Hi, Jan. Hope you're all good. Yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful, I think, when it comes to ITKs. Connor, with on your picks, apart from Moore, 9 goals in 43 games, Bournemouth, that's Bamford-esque for me. Les, it wasn't, mate. Bamford. Bamford scoring 9 goals in 43 appearances. That's maybe 1 goal in every 4 and a bit games. Not ideal, but when I'm talking about Kiefer Moore, mate, he wouldn't be starting for me. He wouldn't be starting, but he'd be getting more game time than being completely frozen out at Bournemouth. He'd be getting more game time, and he would be playing in certain games for me from the start where Leeds can't break certain opposition down. I'm still not enamoured with Yoel Perot. I'm obviously not enamoured with Patrick Bamford. I think we need reinforcing up there. I also think that Kiefer Moore I think when you've ever watched Kiefer Moore Premier League level, I think he's been good. I think his touch is very good for a big man. He's got good ball striking ability for a big man, and obviously gets his head on many things. And Leeds have never really had that option. We've never really had a big man up top, and this is what I mean. I mentioned this last night. You guys might have missed this, or if you missed the stream. I think systematically, when we're getting maybe pressed or there's a mid block or whatever, and we need to hit the front man and win the second balls in and around the front man, we don't have that front position to hit. Because Bamford, in my opinion, is all right at holding the ball up. Yoel Perot is never going to hold the ball up in a month of Sundays. And Jorginho Rutter is a number 10, as we saw in the last game. That's why he performs a lot better. And for me, Jorginho Rutter is much better at hold up when it's at his feet. A different option is Kiefer Moore. For me, many of the top sides wouldn't sign Kiefer Moore in the Championship to be an out-and-out striker, as in someone who is going to be their starting player week in, week out, unless you're looking at your Cardiffs, maybe your Coventries, maybe your Stoke Cities. But when you're looking at the upper echelon of the Championship, the top bracket, the top 5%, Kiefer Moore is an option off the bench who can mean that it would basically mean that against certain teams and certain opposition or certain stages in games when Leeds are struggling to break oppositions down, Kiefer Moore is a completely different option. That means that Leeds can get further up the pitch. I think that's a really good option. I really do. Systematically, I think it's good for Leeds to get someone like him in. Yeah, it's a fear of mine, mate. It's a fear of mine. But if they are just putting hey Jay, if they are just putting him up for if they're selling him, if they are selling him, I don't think Ipswich will be able to afford him because he's probably going to be about 10, 15 million. It's all about having different options, isn't it? Kiefer really does work hard and is an absolute nightmare to defend against. That's it, Jamie. Look, so he's scoring 1 goal in 4. He's scoring in 10% of his, 10%, right? But off the bench, systematically is a different option. And that will help Somerville. It will help Nonto if he's still here. It will help Rutter. Not all the onus is on Jorginho Rutter for holding the ball up when he can't properly do it back to goal as a number 9. And Perot will never do that, ever. Perot is an in the front of the defence defender. At least as well, Kiefer Moore is an out-and-out sort of number 9. And I know he won't be starting week in, week out, but he's a really good option for me. Totally agree. It says SJH. More works for me. Strong presence up top, provides hold-up play, knockdown, and allows rapid attacker to get second balls, start attacks. It's a good option. It would, mate. And Martin T as well. When it comes to Nico Williams, I wouldn't be looking at Nico Williams as a permanent signing. It would be nice to get him on a loan with an obligation if Leeds got to the Premier League to sign him on a permanent or an option. I think that'd be a good little bit way of a little bit of business going forward. But with regards to Peterborough, that's what I'm looking at, everybody, in terms of the starting 11. I think it's going to be a bit of a mix. I think we said at the start, I'll just go through probably my starting 11 for this one, just off the dome. Clarkson, right back would be Luke Ayling. Centre backs would be Cresswell, Rodon. Left back would be Junior Firpo. Defensive midfield, I'd go Gruev and Kamara. And then front 4, I'd be looking at the peak, the top of the 4, the top of the Christmas tree. I'd be looking at Matteo Joseph. On one side, I'd be looking at Jaden Anthony. On the other side, I would probably look at someone like William Yonto. And through the middle, I'm missing one, aren't I? I'm missing one. Maybe your Perot through the middle. That's probably what I'd look at. Yeah, Peterborough are doing well. It's not going to be an easy game. It's really not going to be an easy game, but you need to be winning this game. Need to be winning this game in terms of a little pick me up, I think, and consistency. I think consistency is important, but I'm not too bothered about this Premier League stuff, FA Cup stuff, I should say. I'm very bothered about the Premier League stuff. Okay, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Maybe. Oh, yeah, Pervader as a cam. S, you bang on. Yeah, I'd probably go Pervader as a cam. But obviously, Yo Pro didn't start the last game. I'd like to see him as a 10/9.5. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody. Please make sure you join the YouTube membership if you want to have your name in green and get highlighted with a nice little emoji next to your name. £2 a month, and it goes to the run of the channel. If you want some extended stuff, me and Gabe, who's in the comment section below here, are doing around about 2 or 3 podcasts a week. We will be extending that to maybe a few journalistic bits as well that we're looking at this moment in time. That's about £4 a month if you want that bonus stuff. We're absolutely racking stuff up on the channel. As you can see, there's been 3 streams out today. If you want some extra One Leeds stuff, make sure you check out the streams from earlier on where we give a real extensive look at Jed Spence's his exit from Leeds. We reacted to Daniel Farke's press conference comments on what that can mean for Leeds going forward in terms of emergencies and proactiveness. Really appreciate your support, everybody. Make sure, I think we're 80 now away from 30,000. Mental. 80 away from 30,000. So please, there's 48% of you who aren't subscribed. Please make sure you subscribe. You'll get notifications on all the video. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. I will probably see you on Sunday with all of your Leeds United stuff. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.